Greetings, welcome back. All right, so we got 9 games tonight. 9. And almost everything seemed to go to extra time. So these teams are close. If you were watching a game and you thought, this feels like a playoff game, you're probably right. And really, for the most part, things are really tightening up, especially in the East, it seems. Although the Central, again, you get that separation between the top and the bottom, but it feels like when these teams play against each other, the games are close. So we'll start off with the New York Rangers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And the Penguins tonight, 14 comeback wins in their first 25 games. That's a lot. So, yeah. It's a formula that, and I've said this before, you don't want to be relying on it as your formula for the full season. You don't want to be relying on it when playoff time rolls around. But for the Penguins, it just works. Just works. So the Penguins wearing their thirds. It was Kincaid versus Jarry. Kincaid had a good game tonight as the starter. Nice mask, too. Early chance for the Penguins and Malkin. Letang had a chance that went wide. We got a power play for the Penguins. That's killed off. Kincaid then stopped Malkin. That was a chance on the power play. First 8 minutes, almost all Penguins. And then against the flow of the play, Jack Johnson. Yes, that Jack Johnson scores a goal from Gauthier and Kreider at 9 minutes and 16 seconds. It went in off Marino's leg. But Johnson will take it. It's his first goal in a while. And so it's 1-0 Rangers. And Letang then had a backhander that stopped, but the Rangers were much better after that goal. And it felt like, hey, maybe the Rangers are going to end up pulling this off. That's how it felt anyways at that point. And then there's a too many men on the ice call, and Rangers get a power play. But the shorthanded chance was for the Penguins. And Zibanejad totally snake bit. And then we get an out-of-nowhere goal. As Lindgren stick breaks, Crosby goes, thanks, I'll take the puck, puts it to Gensel, and Gensel puts it in at 18:54. So the Penguins get a goal out of nowhere after the Rangers got a goal that seemed to come out of nowhere, and it's 1-1 after one. Second period, early power play for the Rangers, and here's where the game really sort of becomes the Pittsburgh game. Shorthanded goal by Bluger, love Teddy Bluger's work ethic, from Tanev and Dumoulin at 2 minutes and 40 seconds. This was a very hard-hitting game. And the Penguins are up 2-1. Kincaid, sharp with his glove hand as well at that point of the game. Jankowski has a chance that goes wide. And then late in the period, last minute of the period, those are potential killers, right? Kapanen scores from Malkin and Rodriguez at 19:40. Great shift by Malkin and Kapanen, playing keep away, and a great goal. So Rodriguez gets in there with the secondary assist. It's 3-1 Pittsburgh after 2. Third period, all Rangers. This period was completely just Rangers. They get a power play. They don't score, or they do score on it. It's Strome from Buchnevich and Fox, and that power play marker makes it close. And not only that, but the Rangers, they're leading in shots 8-0 with 8.5 minutes left, and then lots of buzz around the net. They weren't getting quality shots at that time, but they were definitely getting in close. Then with 2:41 left, they call a timeout. So a lot of action in the Pittsburgh end of the rink. A lot of shots. I don't know how many were great quality, but Jarry was fantastic. And then Buchnevich is denied after the timeout. Crosby hits the post. So, yeah. Then the goaltender gets pulled with 2 minutes left. We get huge stops by Jarry. And then Rust hits a post as well for the empty net. But Crosby would hit the empty net at 19:27. So hits the post earlier in the game and makes up for it with a goal here to go with his assist. So 2 points for Crosby. Pittsburgh wins this one 4-2. They go to 15-9-1. The Rangers drop to 10-11-3. The shots in this one, Pittsburgh 16-7 in the first. The Rangers 13-10 in the second. 15-1 in the third period. The only shot Pittsburgh had in the third period was that empty net goal by Crosby. Final shots 35-27 for the Rangers. Power plays, the Rangers 1 for 3. Pittsburgh 0 for 1. Kincaid 23 saves on 26 shots. Jarry, 33 saves on 35 shots. Tristan Jarry, again, shows he's a starter. Next up, Boston and the Islanders. Boston is frustrated with the schedule right now. So they come out of a game against the Devils, who they don't play well against. Or, conversely, a team that plays well against them, right? Now they're in against the Islanders, a team they just don't play very well against. And the key thing to me tonight was the Islanders played the Islanders game. And it really is that simple to me. So the shots were 2-1 for the Bruins 5 minutes in. as Borrell had a chance that was blocked, and it felt like an Islanders game. Not a lot of whistles, not a lot of penalties, and just pretty free-flowing game. That's the way the Islanders like it. Bruins pressed in the second half. Varlamov very sharp. The net miss by Pastrnak stood out. Post for Ritchie. The Bruins get a power play, and they score on it, and it's in the last minute. So at 19:32, Pastrnak puts the Bruins ahead from Marchand and Grzelcyk. Cool. Second period. Power play for the Islanders. Shots are 6-2 for the Bruins at 8 minutes. The Islanders press at 8.5 minutes. The Bruins get a power play, and that was on a Wahlstrom boarding call. That's killed off, and then Marchand jumps Wahlstrom as Wahlstrom's getting called for another penalty for boarding. So Wahlstrom had 2 boarding calls, and I guess he figured it was a hit on Clifton, and I guess Marchand figured it was a cheap shot on Clifton. Either way, he loses it, and he basically goes full-on goober about it. And I thought he was lucky he only got 4 minutes. So the Bruins go shorthanded. Honestly, they could have looked at that and said, okay, so that's 5 for fighting, it's 2 for instigating, and we're just going to throw you out of the game. They didn't. They could have. And I'm saying straight out, even as a Bruins fan, absolutely in that situation, Marchand losing it. And all I'm thinking and watching that is, oh, come on. What are you doing? That's 5 years ago, Marchand. Not now, Marchand. So, yeah, because of Marchand jumping him, Boston ends up killing the penalty, and they don't kill it. It's Nelson scoring the power play marker from Pajot and Barzal at 16:18, so it's 1-1 after 2. Third period, early control for the Islanders. Varlamov stops a shot from Vakanainen. The Islanders press at 6.5 minutes, but Halak's holding it. So Halak had a really good game. He gets credit for that in the Stars. So did Varlamov. But both teams are having some near misses. Lee had a prime chance in that third period that didn't go in. McAvoy deflects one out. The Bruins are held to 2 shots with 4 minutes left, which I thought was telling. That the Islanders playing their trap style and just frustrating the Bruins. Barzal then nearly gets one, but we go to overtime. In the overtime, Islanders control it early. Grzelcyk then had a chance that was stopped. Marchand had a shot as well. That was held onto by Varlamov. Bergeron's denied. Marchand ends up hitting the post. And then Pajot had a late chance that missed wide. So we go to a shootout. In the shootout, Beauvillier gets the winner. And the Islanders win an Islanders-level game. They go to 16-6-4. Boston goes to 13-6-4. And that one hurts if you're Boston, because the Islanders are a team that you need to catch. You lost a point to them. Now you've lost a point to Pittsburgh. Yeah, so for Boston, they got to pick it up here. Shots, 12-8 Boston in the first, 12-8 Boston in the second, 9-4 Islanders in the third, and in the overtime, 5-2 for Boston. So Varlamov was great. Final shots, 33-27 Boston. Both teams went 1 for 2 on the power play. Halak, 26 saves on 27 shots. Varlamov saves 32 out of 33. And so these teams will meet again in a couple of days. And for Boston, they've got to get a win. They've got to get some goals on the Islanders because they do not score on the Islanders enough. I think that's obvious from the score, right? 2-1 in a shootout. All right, next up, Buffalo. This is like Buffalo finding new ways to come up short. But there are positives to take from this if you're a Sabres fan. This is a game without Jack Eichel, and they look good at points during this. So first period, Van Riemsdyk scores early from Farabee and Couturier at 1:56. And at that point, you're going, hey, we go again. Sabres are going to get killed. But Reinhart scores from Cousins and Hall at 4:33. And then Sheahan puts Buffalo ahead from Stahl and Olofsson at 9:39. The shots are 7-7 with 7 minutes left. But 2 of the 7 have gone in. And then 3 of the 8 go in as Reinhart scores from Hall and Dahlin at 16:39. And Hart's night comes to an end. In the last minute, the Flyers get a power play that carries over into the second period. The Sabres kill that off. Remember, they have a 3-1 lead at this stage. But Hayes would score from Lawton and Braun at 2:58, so that's not that long after the power play ended. And then the Sabres showing something they really haven't shown much tonight, which is fight back. Montour gets a goal from Okposo and Reeder at 6:20. They then get a power play. Shots are in favor of the Flyers, 7-3 at 9.5 minutes of the period. But, again, it's a 4-2 lead for Buffalo. The Flyers would get a power play. They would then get another Giroux would end up scoring from Voracek and Provorov at 15:05. So for the Flyers, that was not a power play goal, but again, you can't give them that many chances, and ends up in your end, and Giroux gets himself a goal. So we go to the third period. Haig has a chance that goes high. Johansson held a shot from Giroux, and a lot of that third period was in Buffalo's zone. I understand you've got the lead, you want to protect it. Best place to protect it is at the other end of the rink. And all I kept thinking was, if they hold on to this, I'm totally going to wear a Buffalo jersey for the review, because they're going to win. Flyers controlled the first 5 minutes. There was then a power play for the Flyers, and it's successful. Now, Rob Ray wasn't happy on this one because he felt that it was kind of an iffy call. My answer is, it might have been a little bit of an iffy call. However, they've got to kill that off. They don't kill that off. Goss Despair scores from Couturier and Farabee at 14-14. So after a second period or third period that saw them in their own zone a lot, they end up allowing that goal that ties it up. With 2:24 left, the Sabres go to the power play. Voracek vehemently disagreed with the call. Not a fan of the call. So you go to overtime, because everything goes to overtime tonight. Hall had a chance that went high. Boo Birds in Philly. So we get fans back in attendance, and it kind of turned out like I thought it would. That the Philadelphia fans, because Buffalo had the puck and they were ragging the puck a lot, they were booing. And I'm thinking about this in my head. I'm thinking, okay, so you've gone a year without being able to see a game, and you're like, man, I can't wait to go and see a Flyers game. I haven't seen a Flyers game in person in, a year? Man, it's been so long, and there they are on the ice now. Boo! You guys suck! Boo! Oh, that feels good. I haven't done that in so long. It's it's what I was talking about in a video not too long ago. Getting fans back in the building, might be a mixed bag if your team's not necessarily playing very well. So the Sabres were ragging the puck pretty well. The Flyers then had a 3-on-1, which was defended by Montour. Both teams had some decent opportunities, but we have to go to a shootout. In the shootout, Couturier and Patrick get goals, and so the Flyers win this one in a shootout 5-4. The fans did end up going home happy. 13-7-3 is the record for the Flyers, and for Buffalo, 6-14-4. And again, you're not looking at playoffs if you're Buffalo, but this is a respectable result. It could have been a lot worse. Shots in this one, 9-8 Philadelphia in the first, 12-6 Philadelphia in the second, 9-4 Philadelphia in the third, and then 3-2 in the overtime in their favor. So the final shot's 33-20 in favor of the Flyers. Buffalo 0-2 on the power play, Philadelphia 1-4. Johansson saved 29 out of 33. Hart saved 5 out of 8, and then Elliott saved 11 out of 12. So do we have a goaltending controversy in Philly? Maybe a bit. Hart's still young. I'm not worried about him being a flop or anything, but maybe Elliott should start the lion's share of games for a while. Just saying. And just picturing fans in attendance for the first time in a long time, I'm so glad I can be back. And then just booing the team on the ice. Just fantastic. I can't wait till it happens in Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver. It'd be great to hear fans in attendance again and just booing them off the ice. All right, next up, New Jersey. This is kind of the same thing. This is New Jersey being down, and they show some fight back, and then it goes to overtime. So Caps wearing the reverse retros, and I was like, okay, so reverse retro jinx then? So there were only 2 teams wore reverse retros tonight, and one won and one didn't. So 1-1 tonight. The Caps had been outshot by the Devils 6-5 at 5 minutes. The Devils had a good start, especially on the road here. Backstrom's 700 assist video was then played. That I find weird too, when you don't have a full building and you're showing the big, here's our tribute to the guy. I mean, it's nice and all, but when you don't have an audience there to see it, did it really happen? Caps get a power play. Devils then get one of their own. The Capitals would then go back to the power play and they'd score on it because you can't give them too many opportunities. It's Oshie from Schultz and Backstrom at 17-22. So the Caps go up 1-0 in their really snazzy, beautiful jerseys, and we go to the second period. Extended 4-on-4 play. Vrana would score from Carlson and Backstrom at 7:42. So Backstrom, another assist for him as he continues his run. Caps controlled the first half, and then they would score again. Sprong scores from Kuznetsov at 10:36. It's 3-0 Capitals. So at this point where there's a ton of games on, I'm going, okay, the Capitals are winning this game. This is a Capital. They're not going to lose this game. They can't possibly lose this game because they're ahead 3-0. It's the Devils. I admire the Devils' work ethic, but they're not going to come back in this one. So, Kuokkanen scores from Zajac at 12:44. And again, probably not going to make a difference. And then Orlov scored from Panik at 15:03. And okay, so it's 4-1 after 2. I'm going to keep track of the really close games. And the other game, I'll every now and then I'll scroll back to that one. But that one's basically done. The Devils get a power play. They don't score on it. However, Miles Wood continues his amazing first half of the season from Bratt and Murray at 5:47. So that made it a little closer. And again, I'm thinking, but it's the Caps. It's a 2-goal lead. They're not going to blow a 2-goal lead. Devils go back to the power play. Again, they don't score on it. But Sharon Govich continues his impressive rookie season with a goal from Severson and Zajac at 10:17. Uh-oh. And then it's tied on a goal that was given at the time to Severson. I think it's still Severson's. May have been given to somebody else. From Smith and Zajac at 12:20. It's a tie game. And this is where I'm like, wait, what? And so I had to go back to it. I'm like, what? How did this happen? So, yeah, the Devils end up tying it up. And the shots would tell you that Washington basically in the third period decided, all right, we've got this. Must have had the same opinion I did. We'll watch the out-of-town scoreboard. We're not going to worry about this game. In overtime, the Caps had a 2-on-1, which was broken up by Ty Smith. But Smith is caught on the ice. So Smith's unable to leave the ice. And eventually that'll cost him. The Caps get a change in. And Verona scores from Kuznetsov at a minute and a half into the overtime. So they do win it in overtime, 5-4. Everybody in this division, other than the Rangers, at least got a point tonight. So for the Rangers, right now, they want to punch every other team in the face because all of them got points and they didn't. Shots, 11-9 for Washington in the first, 13-6 Washington in the second, 16-5 New Jersey in the third. And there was one shot in the overtime. That's the one that matters for Washington. 31-30 were the final shots in favor of the Devils. The Caps have to feel a little bit fortunate here. They didn't end up blowing it and only getting the 1 point. Power plays, New Jersey 0-3, Washington 1-2. Goaltenders, Wedgwood 25 saves on 30 shots, Vanacek 27 saves on 31 shots. So there you go. Crazy result from a game that looked like it was pretty much salted away. And now I have to change boards. Is that you want more overtime? You got it. Yeah, there's 2 games that went to overtime on this board. And then the third board, which has 1 game, no overtime in that one. So it was Nashville in against Carolina. And this game ended up being pretty close. For Nashville, you have to feel like this is one that got away. This is one of those games that at the end of the season, we may look at and say, that's that point. That's that point where they decided they weren't going to make the playoffs. So we'll see. The Canes wearing their thirds. They have a very good record wearing their thirds over the years. They're beautiful jerseys. I don't blame them for playing better when they wear them. Early power play by the Canes. In fact, the shots at 3.5 minutes into this game, 6-1 in favor of Carolina. They came out absolutely ready, and Pekka Rinne is the only reason this one isn't ugly early. And without Yossi, the Predators allowing a lot of shots early. So Yossi's out. He's week to week. We'll see how long he's out. That'll be in a news video tomorrow. I do have to do another video after this review to discuss some news that came out today, but that's for a specific item that came out and not for an entire news video. Power play for the Predators. Rinne was the one keeping it scoreless. We then get another Predators power play, but we go to the second period tied at nothing. And then Matthew Benning. He scores a goal from Tolvanen at 101. And yeah, it's 1-0. Then Pesce had a chance that was blocked. The shots had evened up at this stage. The Canes get a power play. That's unsuccessful. The Predators get one as well. It is unsuccessful. Johansson would then score from Fabro at 13:37. It is 2-0 in favor of Nashville. And they had a very good second period. But the Canes get a power play and they score on it not too long after Johansson. In fact, 1 minute and 20 seconds after Johansson made it 2-0, Jordan Stahl continues his red-hot run from Aho and Trocheck at 14:57. And then the Canes went right back onto the power play. Now, during that one, Yarncroke gets a shorthanded chance. So there was a 4-minute call on Olivier, and that meant 14 seconds of a 5-on-3. And they showed the replay over and over again, and they kept saying, we don't know what Olivier was thinking there. He kind of waves the stick and just rakes it right across the guy's face. And all I could think was, Olivier comes back to the bench. Coach Hines says, so what were you trying to do? And he just tried to go, I don't know, Coach. I thought maybe I could remove his face with my stick. I just wanted to see if his face would come off if I ripped it off with my stick. Didn't see it in the rule book. I guess it's a high stick, but it didn't say anything about defacing somebody. So, yeah, I couldn't figure it out either. So, as perplexed as the Nashville crew was trying to explain what Olivier was thinking, I didn't get it either. During the 5-on-3, a second before the 5-on-3 ended, Aho scores from Hamilton and Trocheck at 17:38. There's then a penalty that causes it to be 4-on-4 for a minute and 46 seconds, so it's tied at 2 after 2. Third period, there's a power play for the Predators. The shots were 7-2 for the Canes with 7.5 minutes left. And this was a very quiet third period in general. It kind of felt like both teams were, okay, we'll play for the point. Maybe the Nashville guys were still sitting Olivier down and asking him, so what were you doing there? Johansson had a shot off the bar late. And if that had gone in, we don't go to overtime. But at this point, I'm like, all right, everything's going to be in overtime. Ekholm had a chance that was stopped in overtime. Arvidsson then missed wide. We get a post for Yarncroke. So posts and bars and everything in favor of Nedeljkovic and the Canes. There was a near miss for Svechnikov, but then Jordan Staal scores at 4 minutes and 25 seconds. His second of the game. It's the overtime winner. The Canes go to 18-6-1. Continue this amazing run. There's 3 teams that are really good in the Central, and everybody else is just trying to catch them. Nashville falls to 11-14-1. It's the first point they've had in extra time, but it's for the Canes, it's that extra point's big. They outshot Nashville 15-7 in the first. Nashville outshot them 13-11 in the second. In the third, Carolina outshot Nashville 8-2. Both teams had a shot in the overtime. Final shots 35-23 for Carolina. Nashville was the only team that had a player that tried to remove somebody's face with a stick, though. So there's that. Nashville 0 for 5 on the power play. Carolina 2 for 6. I don't want to make it sound like it was really vicious either. It was just weird. It wasn't a really vicious thing. It was 4 minutes because you cut him, but weird. Just strange. Rinne, 32 saves on 35 shots. He played really well. Nedeljkovic did as well. 21 saves on 23 shots. And they'll meet each other again. We'll see what happens then. All right. Next up, Florida. Now, this was a game that I didn't really have any doubts about. And I felt kind of bad because I wore Columbus for the preview, and I thought maybe Columbus. And no. The Cannon jerseys, I love the Cannon jerseys. I love them. And yet the record they have wearing them, at least in tonight's game, not great. Panthers with the early power play. They don't score on it, but Lamico would score from Uyghur at 4:59. Power play then for the Panthers. Things turned 4-on-4. Barkov left the ice for a little bit. He would come back. But if you're a Florida fan and if you hear, hey, Barkov's not on the bench, that is the one thing that will cause you to kind of jump out of your seat and go, who's not on the bench? I guess Huberdeau you'd have a similar reaction to, right? Late Columbus power play, it is unsuccessful. We go to the second period with Florida up 1-0. Early Panthers power play in that second period, and it's a goal. Who gets it? Hornqvist. Hornqvist, who's never met a garbage goal he doesn't love. And he is an example of why, I may call them garbage goals. People will think that that's putting them down. I've made the statement, all goals are equal. Doesn't matter if it's a garbage goal or if it's a beautiful deke and between the legs, Barzal style. They're all the same goal. So if I say somebody's really good at getting garbage goals and he could score 30 a year, and I say that about Hornqvist, it's not an insult. It just means he's very good at standing in front of the net and knowing how to tip it in. And if it was that easy, there'd be a lot more players that do it. Ekblad and Huberdeau with the assists at 2:45. And even though Delzato scores from Robinson and Texier at 5:45, I just had a lot of confidence that Florida would hold this lead. That is a difference between last year's Panthers and this year's. This year's Panthers, I trust them with a lead. Tippett would score on a power play before the period's out from Forsling at 18:12, and it's 3-1 Florida after 2. So third period, Forsling had a chance that goes wide as he continues to think he's an offensive defenseman. Shots are 7-1 for Columbus with 9.5 minutes left, and they would score, so they do make it close. Bjorkstrand from Werenski at 11:37, and then Columbus did push for the tie. In fact, they get a power play. They pulled the goalie with 2:20 left to go 6-on-4. Good call. With 1:46 left, they call a timeout. So the end result of this, they don't end up getting the goal. Florida gets the empty netter. Verhaeghe from Uyghur at 19:37. Florida must not have got the notification that every game was supposed to go to overtime tonight. So they win it in regulation 4-2. They go to 16-5-4. Columbus drops to 10-12-5. The math for Columbus just isn't getting any better. Shots in this one, 16-15 in favor of Columbus in the first. Yeah, tons of shots. 14-9 in the second in favor of Florida, and then 15-4 in favor of Columbus in the third. Again, I never really had any doubt Florida would win it. Final shots, 40-33 Columbus. Florida 2 for 4 on the power play. Columbus 0 for 3. And at some point, something has to give for Columbus. Bobrovsky, 38 saves on 40 shots. Korpisalo saves 29 out of 32. Entertaining game. And there you go. All right, next up. Toronto. So here's the funny thing with Toronto. So Toronto, you know, flying high, everything's going great. Number 1 in the league, best winning percentage, lots of wins, tearing apart the Canadian division, and everybody going, it doesn't matter, it's just the Canadian division. They have now lost 3 in a row in regulation. I expect a full panic. I expect the media, if they haven't already started tonight, then tomorrow I expect media across Canada to start asking what's wrong with the Leafs, what's happened to the Leafs, why aren't they getting, and honestly, it's very, very premature to make these discussions at all interesting because they're still first. But Winnipeg showed tonight they are a threat for first place in the North. They are absolutely a threat for first place in the North. Reverse retro Leafs. So if you want to say, oh, that's what happened. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. The Jets with the early power play. The shots were 3-2 for the Jets at 7 minutes. And then Zach Hyman gets a goal from Brody at 8:16. So there you go. The shots 3 apiece. Goal for the Leafs. They're up. It's gonna be good, right? Another Jets power play. They score on that one. So the Jets power play continues to be hot. Kopp scores that one from Pionk and Ehlers at 12:20. That ties the game up at 1. The Leafs get a power play. They did score on that as well. Matthews scores from Riley and Marner at 17:44. And it was funny because I saw him score and I thought, oh, I mentioned today that he'd end up getting like 2 goals here and 2 goals there and he'd get that goal total back up again. Here we are. Second period, Leafs get a whiff by Mikheyev. Power play for the Leafs. That ended up with 1 shot. So this is a game where they had chances. The Leafs had chances. So while I am sure there will be articles and videos and topics of what's wrong with Toronto, the reality is they're still getting chances. You get more worried when your team's not getting chances when they're getting outplayed. Toronto is not being outplayed. I don't think they were outplayed tonight. However, Morrissey scores from Pionk and Scheifele at 12:45. And the announcers even said, you know, the Leafs had all these really golden chances. It goes the other way and it ends up in the net. Connor would then score from Ehlers and Lowry at 17:42. Connor hasn't gone 3 games without a goal all season. Connor has been very, very consistent for Winnipeg. And on that one, that was a smart play by Ehlers because the Leafs had a sloppy line change going on and Ehlers saw it. Now, in that situation, if Hall plays the puck, it would have been too many men on the ice. So that's why he doesn't play the puck. But it sort of reminds me of earlier in the season when you had the Canucks against the Leafs and you had Chatfield, couldn't play the puck because it was going to be offside, so I'll just back off and let Matthews take it. In hindsight, probably should have taken the offside. In hindsight, maybe Hall should have taken the too many men on the ice call and taken their chances on the penalty kill because, yeah, Connor's not going to miss that one. But yeah, so we go to the third period. It's 3-1 in favor of the, or 3-2. Sorry, 3-2 in favor of Winnipeg. I don't want to take a goal away from Toronto. They worked really hard for those. Beaulieu, it was announced in the third, would not return. He suffered a wrist injury. At least they call it upper body, but it's likely his wrist. Shots were 4-1 for the Leafs at 5 minutes, but then puck goes the other way. Appleton puts it in from Kopp and Pionk at 7:53. So Andrew Kopp, he's heating up again. Appleton gets goals often enough that he would be a 20-goal scorer over a full schedule of 82 games. Marner then had one that went wide. Wheeler with a break. This guy right here, Blake Wheeler. He had a break. Anderson with the save. They pulled the goalie with 3.5 minutes left. Hellebuck was in the zone, so getting a puck in past Hellebuck was going to be difficult tonight. Hyman had a chance that was denied, but eventually, with the amount of hired guns that the Leafs have and the amount of talent that they have up front, that top 6, Matthews gets his second goal of the game from Nylander and Tavares at 18:06. They call the timeout, because that's what you do. You rest up your star players, and you go for it. They did buzz for the tie. They did everything they could to tie it, but Hellebuck said no. So Winnipeg holds on. They win it 4-3. They go to 16-8-1. Toronto drops to 18-7-2. That's 3 regulation losses in a row. And again, I think there's going to be a lot of discussion. Hopefully there isn't any panic about it. Teams are going to go through these periods, and in Toronto's case, they're first in the division. 33 points right now for Winnipeg and 38 points for Toronto. Winnipeg's played 25 games. Toronto's played 27. So Winnipeg does have a couple games in hand. If they win the next one in regulation, things get a little more difficult, but really not that bad. So the shots in this one, 8-6 Toronto in the first, 18-11 Toronto in the second, and 13-6 in Toronto. They in their favor in the third. They played well. Final shots, 39-23 for the Leafs. Power plays, both teams went 1 for 2. Hellebuck, 36 saves on 39 shots. Anderson saved 19 out of 23. And yes, the goaltending was better at the Winnipeg end of the ice, and that may be a conversation to have at some point soon with the trade deadline on the way. Not that I think the trade deadline is going to help any kind of goaltending situation in Toronto, but remember, he's a UFA this summer. Questions are going to be asked, and we'll see what the answer is from Toronto fans, media, and then from management. Probably in that order, right? All right, next up, last one on this board, Tampa Bay and Detroit. Detroit makes things difficult for the top teams. They will eventually capitulate, but they make it difficult. And tonight was one of Detroit's best games until it fell apart. So the Wings got a 5 or 4 minute power play early, and they did make Tampa pay for that. In the first 2 minutes, Ernie, former Tampa Bay Lightning player, picked up by Yzerman. He scores from Zadina and Hronek at 3:04. Then there was a shorthanded chance for Coleman. In fact, after that, the rest of that power play was kind of ineffective, but Detroit's up 1-0. The Bolts get a power play, and this is where the horn issue. So about every minute, the horn would sound. Now, during a game, if there's play going on and the horn sounds, that means that you're getting a call from Toronto to say the puck's in the net. But this was weird. It got to the point where I was like, okay, so is the whistle not working, and are they just doing overkill? Are we going to hear the horn with every single stoppage? But players would stop playing, and you could see John Cooper was getting visibly agitated with this. I don't know how much it threw off the Tampa Bay Lightning, but I know how aggravating it would be to me as just somebody sitting in the arena. I can't imagine for guys on the ice who are trying to concentrate, hearing that horn going over and over and over and over. And somebody somewhere had to be going, okay, somebody needs to unplug it. All I could picture was some little kid that got into the wrong area of the building and just keeps pressing the button. Or Stuart from Ad TV was also what came into my head, and just picturing the mother there. Stuart, you can't do that. I can do what I want. You can't you stop hitting the horn, Stuart. No. Look what I can. And then, Anyway, so, yeah, that's showing my age there, right? Yeah, of course I am. So, yeah, that was mildly entertaining to me watching it. Probably not entertaining for Tampa Bay on the ice. Or Detroit, to be honest. I mean, they don't want to be hearing that horn every 30 seconds to a minute either. So it was still stuck for the rest of the period. And it was weird because the puck would be getting played and you'd hear the horn and everybody's ignoring it now. You're thinking, well, wait, now if Toronto actually does call in, do you have to have like an air horn? Or what has to happen? Weird. Anyways, there was another Bolts power play. It would score. Braden Point scores on that from Palat and Hedman at 12:29. And then seconds after, not long after, Tyler Johnson scores from Coleman and Chernak at 13:04. Chernak's going to have a monster night, too. Definitely horn-worthy on that. And then Tampa Bay goes back to the power play before the end of the first period. We go to the second. I believe the horn was completely under control in the second period. I may have mentally blocked it out. I don't know. Or just learned to tune it out completely. Second period, Nemeth scores from Gagne and Nemesnikov at 6:58. So this is what I'm talking about with Detroit. They can give a headache to top teams in the league, and not just because their horn's stuck. Larkin then scores from Fabry at 9:04, and this is where Tampa's defense just kind of lets them walk it in. It wasn't really that strong a defense on him, and it's one of those, well, if you're going to give it to me, okay. And he takes it. Maroon then tried to answer. There was a chance for Bobby Ryan that deflected out. But we go to the third period. Detroit's got a 3-2 lead. They've got a lead. That's horn-worthy, too. Power play then for the Wings. The shots were 2-1 in their favor at 7 minutes, so they were doing a very good job at keeping Tampa Bay down, keeping it all under control until they didn't. Heavy Bolts pressure at 9 minutes, and it was like they just turned it on. They just, that switch, and maybe it was Horn's suppression of that switch. I don't know. But Chernak scores from Maroon at 9:40. He had a fight, then he had an assist. Now he has a goal. That's a Gordie Howe hat trick, and he did it in Detroit. Not too shabby. So yeah, then Chernak would hit. He hit a post and he hit one of the defending players as well. Initially, it looked like it hit both posts. No Detroit shots for over 10 minutes in that third period. They were holding on by the skin of their teeth. And the Wings did finally press in that final minute, clearly saying, hey, we can win this. So you go to overtime. Vasilevsky stops a chance from Larkin, while the announcers are saying, is somebody going to take a shot, or what's going to happen here? And then Coleman gets the first shot for Tampa, and that goes into the net. That's from Johnson at 2:17, so Tyler Johnson with a goal and an assist. Tampa Bay does escape. It's a scare, but they escape it. 4-3 in overtime. Go to 18-4-2. For Detroit, they pick up a point. They're 7-16-4. Shots in this one, 13-6 Tampa in the first. 12-6 Detroit in the second. 8-4 Tampa in the third. Both teams had the one shot in the overtime. Tampa with the one that mattered. Final shots, 28-23 for Tampa. Both teams 1 for 3 on the power play. Vasilevsky 20 for 23 in terms of saves. Greiss saves 24 out of 28. So, yeah, it was a crazy, crazy game. You guys are thinking I'm going to say that it was a horny game, but no, I would say horn-filled. I would never actually say that. So, that being said, I now need to change boards. You know, this being the last game is fine and everything, but if I had a dime for every time I heard Pierre Maguire say, this is the Dallas Stars we saw that went to the Stanley Cup final, this is the Dallas Stars that this is how they played, this is what we saw, this is how they... Oh, my God. Just, it's one game. It's one game. Let's just go ahead and settle it down. And you know, Dallas has a lot of games in hand because they haven't played as many games as everybody else. That's how that works. And it's going to be virtually impossible in my eyes for them to manage to do this on a repeated basis. This schedule is brutal. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be rough nights. There's going to be days where they just don't have the energy because they have to play so many games in so few nights. They don't have more than one day off at any point between now and the end of the season. It is a rough go for them. That being said, tonight, this was a great game from Dallas. And if you're a Chicago fan, concerning. Not necessarily nearly as concerning, again, as the announce crew might have made it sound like, oh, are they running out of gas? Okay, let's just pump the brakes a little bit on Chicago running out of gas. They played Tampa. They played them well over a 3-game set. Now they're playing Dallas, a team that's desperate and has to win their games. Now, if Chicago comes up with an effort like this in the next game, that's when you can hit the panic button or sound the horn every minute. Kiviranta scores from Hintz at 140, so he hit the horn at 140. And that was a 2-on-1 goal. And it's one of those ones that really you have to ask with the Chicago defense what was going on. Apparently Boquist was pinching on that one, so there you go. The Stars then tried to add to that early lead as they had all the momentum. Power play for Dallas, that's killed off. Another Stars power play, that was a no. But yeah, so the power play was a part of this early. The shots were 7-4 for the Stars at the half. Johnson then had a fight with Kamano. So Nicholas Kamano getting on the score sheet that way. And then Jamie Alexiak. He scores from Ben and Gurianov at 15-10. 2-0 Dallas. Power play for the Hawks. That's unsuccessful, but we go to the second period. Early in the second period, Chicago makes it a game, and it's Janmark, former Dallas Star, from Carlson and DeHaan at 143. People know I'm a Janmark fan, so begrudgingly I say, yeah, nice goal. Then the Stars get a power play, and they score on this one. It's Klingberg from Delandria and Foxa at 7:25. And then the floodgates just open. At 9:55, Pavelski scores from Robertson. Robertson has been on fire in recent games. And then Lindell scores from Robertson and Kiviranta at 11:25. So Kiviranta with a goal and an assist in this one. Robertson with 2 helpers, and they scored 3 goals in 4 minutes. So just a breakdown by the Hawks, and suddenly it's 5-1. And it was almost 6-1 with 7.5 minutes left. They almost scored again about a minute after that. Probably should have gone in. It didn't. There's a post then for Dickinson, and there was a late chance for Rope Hintz as well. So we go to the third period. It's 5-1. The Stars just really solid defensively tonight. I think the most impressive part was they just suppressed any kind of shooting from Chicago tonight for the most part. Keep them to the outside. Don't give them anything in the middle. Keep shots against down. Keep it in the other end. Subban was still in the net to start the third, which kind of surprised me. Not because Subban was bad, but because he allowed 5 through 2 periods. That's when you kind of go, yeah, we'll pull the goalie. Put the other guy in and give him the rest of the night off. Not really his fault kind of thing. Hawks get a power play. That's killed off. And then the weirdest goal I've seen. Robertson kind of skies one, and Hintz kind of sweeps it into the net, kind of flings it into the net at 6:46. And, I mean, the puck's coming from behind, like, and again, the announcer's asking, did he know? And that was something I was thinking watching it, like, did he, is this a plan? Is this one of those things they've done in practice? Robertson's like, okay, I'm going to do this in a real game at some point, so be ready. Heads up. It was a beautiful, weird goal that you can't fault Subban on that. There's no defending that. But, yeah, Hintz with his 6th of the year. And then Suter had a chance that was saved while the clock was running. You could tell Dallas wanted the clock to run. They weren't trying to add further to it. They weren't trying to get 7th, 8th, 9th goals. And they did a very good job of making sure Chicago had no momentum going for them whatsoever. Dallas wins this one 6-1. They have to win games. They have to win them in regulation. They can't have 3-point games if they're going to get caught up. For Chicago, they dropped to 13, 9, and 5. Again, I'm not overly concerned with Chicago unless they drop that next game. For Dallas, they're 8, 8, and 5. Again, the numbers, not great for them. And yeah, the shots in this one favored Dallas the whole way. 13-6 in the first, 17-11 in the second, and then 7-5 in the third. Final shots, 37-22 for the Dallas Stars. Power play, Chicago 0 for 2, Dallas 1 for 3. Subban, 31 saves on 37 shots. Hudobin, 21 saves on 22 shots. One of the easiest nights he's had all season. So Dallas comes up with a win. I would love to call it a big win, but when you've won 8 out of 21 games, you need more. They need to go on a run if they're going to realistically have a chance of getting that 4th spot in the division. And then we could end up with Dallas against Tampa in the first round. But again, they have to win a bunch of games to get there. And it's the consistent effort. I look at this and I go, yeah, we've seen that at a couple of points this year. It's a matter of having that consistency. And they can go cold just as fast as they can get hot. So we'll see. I've got my fingers crossed that maybe this is the start of something. Let me know in the comment section below if you feel like it is or how you feel about that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again very soon.